Welcome to the How Did We Get Here podcast, the show that allows inspiring women from all walks of life a place to tell their story. Follow along every fortnight as we chat about each woman's challenges, life lessons, and words of wisdom that they have picked up along the way. Everything that has led them to being right here and right now. I'm your host, Jess, and from wherever you are in the world, I hope the story you hear today makes you smile, laugh, and maybe even cry a little. I hope it inspires you and fills your cup up just a little bit more, because in this day and age, inspiration and stories are always worth sharing. So grab a coffee or a tea and settle in for today's episode. And welcome back to the How Did We Get Here podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's episode. And for our latest episode, I would very much like to welcome our latest guest, Raquel. Thank you so much for joining me, honey.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited. We've been sort of planning this for a little while to have a chat, and I reached out and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I've always wanted her on the show. I've always wanted to sort of get to know your story and your origin story and sort of how you've gotten to where you are now, because I think you are so incredibly inspiring. And I love so much about you. I love who you are as a person. And yeah, I just thank you for the opportunity to be able to sit down and have a chat to you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm smiling, eating my cheeks hurt already.
That's so sweet. Okay, well, I love starting all my episodes, as per usual, with asking my guests, how would you describe yourself without telling people what you do for work?
It is a good question. It's hard to say without what you do for work, but I would describe myself as someone who is, I think I come across a little bit cold. I have an RBF, but who I am as a person, I'm super loving and I'm all about my family. I'm a bit of an introvert, and I'm always described as someone who's the most extroverted introvert ever because when I'm around people that I'm super comfortable with, I'm super bubbly and extroverted, but I am just quite reserved naturally and really happy to stick to myself and just pretty quiet, but big family person, and recently have found God. So I'm on my whole journey with God and getting to know him and things at the moment, which is really nice. But yeah, just all big on family, like the gym.
Love the gym.
I've started running too, which is so random. But
oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
A little bit, yeah. What would be some describing words that you would use to describe yourself to someone?
Oh, that's so hard. I think I would say, if I was describing myself, I'd probably say it's almost contradictory because I am very introverted, but super outgoing, really passionate, very intense as well, because although I'm super reserved, it's like who I am to my core. I'm just a very intense person. It's the biggest one is lover girl. I'm just like a big soppy lover girl. But yeah, I think just passionate, intense is probably the thing that I would describe myself the most as if I had to pick two words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I definitely see that in you in terms of being like such a passionate, driven, loving person. Like, we've never met in person, but every time we have a conversation, you know, even if we're interacting with each other on Instagram and things like that, it's always so positive and so happy and so loving. Like, you sort of radiate that as a person. So yeah.
So do you.
Thank you, darling.
You're welcome.
Well, sort of take us back as far back as you are willing to share or that you would like to share. So some fundamental life events, things that have sort of shaped you into who you are as a person today. So, you know, you can go back to your childhood or your adolescence or teenage years, whatever's sort of really stuck out to you in terms of these fundamental moments that have helped shape your core values and who you are as a person, and, you know, good or bad, whatever you sort of would like to share with us. I think it's very interesting sort of learning where people have come from and how that's shaped them into who they are today. So if you could tell us some of that.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's been so many. I feel like I've lived a million lives because it's just in every season there's something that's so valuable in each. A few years ago, the one thing that was really, it was the start of my turning point, but it wasn't really my turning point and my realization. But the biggest one for me was a breakup that I had a few years ago. Prior to that, I'd struggled with my mental health majorly. I just was dealing with a lot of unresolved trauma and things that had stemmed from my childhood. And I'd started to realize a few years earlier when I was going through my journey with my mental health that how I was and what I was feeling just wasn't good, but I didn't know how to fully express my emotions or express myself, and I never felt safe enough within myself to feel those things. And it was a really scary time, and I'd been in that. There was one year, I think it was 2021 or maybe 2020, when I had 3 trips to a mental ward, which was not fun. I don't want this to be like a big trauma dump, but
No, that's okay.
And that was sort of, for me, being in a mental ward the third time felt like my rock bottom at the time, because I just felt so alone in there. And I don't really get a sense of loneliness now, in that I'm super happy to be on my own. But back then it was just like, this is my rock bottom. Like, I have never felt so low. I don't feel understood. And then I'd sort of come out of that, and I just wanted to keep working. And the next couple of years was just a whirlwind. And what sort of followed that was really a breakup that I'd had. And that relationship had taught me, at the end of that relationship, I said to myself, this is not what I want my life to feel like. And how I feel, I just took all the weight of that relationship and the downfall of that relationship on my own shoulders. And my dad had always said something to me growing up: if it is to be, it starts with me. So I said, if I want to change how this feels, my life feels right now, I feel like I have no one to turn to. And I just wanted to fix whatever was wrong with me, because it had been such an uphill battle of trying to get a hold of my mental health for years. And that was completely shattering. It just destroyed my soul, basically. And not to say anything bad about the partner that I had at the time, but just in that moment, I was like, that was my turning point. All of these years leading up to this point was like, this is my actual rock bottom. Being in the mental ward was not my rock bottom. I felt like I'd hit rock bottom so many times in different ways, but that was really my pivotal thing. That I had been to therapy before that, but this was really where I said, this is where I'm going to change the narrative of my life and who I am. And I just wanted to be someone who was safe in myself. I wanted to learn what love was and learn how to love myself, because I definitely came out of that relationship not loving myself at all. And I was like, if I am such a whirlwind and such a tornado of destruction, I want to fix that. So I didn't have anyone to point the finger at but myself at that point in time. And I was like, I over that years that sort of followed, I'd sort of just been able to feel what I felt, but also I had to take responsibility for the roles that I had to play over the last years, and not just in that relationship, but in general. And it's sort of, that was the turning point for my whole healing journey, because, and I felt like when you start this healing journey, you just learn so much, and it's like an onion, a never ending onion of layers that you uncover. You're like, you've done this, and then there's more underneath that. So it has been, and I've sort of over the years now, that was 2021, December of 2021, and I've pretty much spent that whole time, majority of that, single, because I just wanted to focus on myself. And I said to myself, I cannot give my love to anyone else right now, because I need this for me. And with that sort of came learning about my parents and myself, and why I respond the way that I do to certain situations, and sort of learning how to fix those things. And I just really decided in that moment that I wanted to learn how to love myself and learn how to lead with love and lead with my heart. So it was a very hard and long few years that followed, and there's so many ups and downs. And what they don't tell you about healing is that it's
not
not A to
linear.
B. Yeah, it's
No,
not a
it's not
straight
linear.
line. It doesn't
No
go
way.
like this. It's like you draw a scribble on a page that's in every direction, and that's healing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, that was really my turning point. And I look back on, even a year ago, I look back on things, that ways that I've responded, and I think it's even now, it's so funny to see how differently I respond in chaos. And when I had first felt peace, I remember sitting there and just crying, because I was like, this feels so weird, like nothing's going wrong. I feel good, I feel okay, but why do I not feel okay? Because
Yeah.
I wasn't used
You
to not
weren't
having
used to it. Yeah.
chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I just lived such a life of chaos. And I was part of that as well.
Yep.
And learning how to adapt to peace, and learning when you focus on becoming someone different as well, no one prepares you for how you have to get to know, like, you're creating this version of you, but you have to get to know this new version of you and forgive the old versions of you. And that was really the thing that, of all the things that I have learned, that is the one that really stands out to me as the thing that just, I would say, changed my life. In that, from that day onwards, I've had hard moments, but my life is not like it used to be. And it's something that I've worked so hard for. And it's not easy when you go to a therapist and you say, like, these are all my problems. These are all the things that I've done. Like, these are all things I've
Absolutely.
said. But
And
it's nice.
it's really hard to sort of take that accountability as well.
Yeah,
Like, it's
100%.
really, really hard to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you were part of the fucking problem.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and that takes a lot of guts. And honestly, kudos to you. Like, it's,
Thank
people
you.
don't talk about that enough. And like, there's
Yeah,
that guilt that you also grapple with within yourself
yeah,
for, this is how my actions and my words impacted people that were a part of my life.
yeah,
And I'm the reason why these things had happened.
yeah,
And like,
exactly.
being able to take on that guilt and process it and sort of release that and let it go
Yeah,
is such a hard process to do, but it's so, so
100%.
important. I
Yeah,
honestly, I take my hat off to you because,
thank you.
yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
really hard.
yeah, it definitely is. And it's just, like I said, it's one of those things no one tells you that when you're doing this, it's not something, you're not just, it's, you don't just decide one day that you're better. It's like you work so hard to get there, but it's almost like when you look back, you realize, like, oh my God, like, just everything feels better. I feel better. And you're like, I will always reevaluate the ways that the person that I am. I've changed, not my persona, but I've just decided I want different. Even last year, I decided I want different from myself again. So I've just completely changed again. And I'm like, that's the good thing about us, is you hear the saying, it's so cliche, but you hold the pen in your life. You are the narrator of your story. You get to decide who you are, what you stand for, what your values are, and you just get to decide who you want to be. And you can
Absolutely.
take the things that have happened in your life and you can use that as an excuse to justify your behavior for the rest of your life, or you can take that and say, like, my biggest thing was, I don't want anyone to feel like this, and if I am so destructive, I want to fix that. I don't want to be destructive anymore. I actually want to be able to embrace and enjoy my life
Yeah.
without hating it and hating myself.
Absolutely. And that takes a lot. And honestly, that's such a huge thing to come to that realization and to come to that moment where you've sort of just realized, where you're just like, hey, like, something needs to change, and that something is me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of people are too scared. A
Yeah,
lot of people are too fucking petrified to look
yeah,
at themselves in the mirror and look at all their flaws, not in a
yeah,
bad way, but I mean
yeah,
in the ways of, I know I don't like this about myself.
yeah,
I know I need to change this about myself,
yeah,
but it's too scary and it's too hard to face these things about myself. So
yeah,
I'm just going to keep burying it and keep just doing what I'm doing and hoping
yeah.
that someone somewhere will put up with it. No,
Yeah, exactly. And
no.
that's the thing, is when you suppress and bury it. My dad had said this to me years ago, all of these things are going to catch up to you, because he was like, all the things you've been through up until now, you might not feel the effects of them, but you will eventually. And I was like, well, that's interesting, because I don't really remember these things. And then
Mm.
surely enough, it was just like, it hit me one day, and I just completely, I don't have any better words to use, but I just completely lost my fucking shit. Like, I just kept losing my shit, and I was just so out of control that it was just such a thing of, I don't know what's happening to me. But
Mm.
then having to look at yourself, it's like taking a good, long, hard look in a mirror, but trying to do that from a place of love and not hatred was probably a hard thing to do as well. It's a hard thing to sit there and to feel your emotions, because they can be really big, and I feel things very intensely. I feel very deeply, and that's, I feel love and happiness to its full degree. But then when sadness and anger would come, I just would feel them, and if you suppress them, you're only keeping them in your body. If you don't talk about these things, if you don't work through them and face them, they're just going to resurface, and it'll resurface when it's not convenient. So it's
Mm.
just so much better now. Like, if I feel sad, I will literally just let myself feel sad. And that was a big thing too, is instead of trying to be like, why am I sad? I had also learned that trying to understand all the time why I felt the way I did was also a form
Part
of
of the
emotional
problem.
avoidance. Yeah. It's like
Yep.
sometimes I just feel sad because I'm a human and I have emotions and
Mm,
I'm allowed to feel sad today. But it's almost like you don't let that dictate your day. You still go about your life, but you're like, okay, I'm feeling this.
yep.
And it's okay for me to feel like that. I don't
Yep.
have to be happy. I don't have to understand why I feel sad because it's an emotion.
Mm,
But I am still learning. This is such like a learning journey and I
yep.
just feel like I have such a long way to go, but I also can recognize and acknowledge that I have come so
Such a
far.
long way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you would like to talk about it, and if, because I'm sort of a little bit more curious about this. So when you talk about how you were previously to this healing journey, in what ways were you sort of chaotic and destructive? And I know we spoke a little bit more about your mental health, but what were sort of the things that were happening? I'm guessing this was more in your younger years, like your teenage years. Were there any sort of things that were making you like that, or was it just like how you were as a young adolescent?
That I think there were so many contributing factors.
Mm,
The biggest one, I just feel like it was life choices, the way that I had reacted and responded in situations like in a heated moment. I would get very heated, and I used to say that I was really hot headed, and I definitely was. I was super hot headed, and that's where I'm still passionate, but it's like I have almost on a leash. It's like I can control the feelings when
that.
I feel anger. It's not explosive anymore. And I was a super explosive person. If you'd hurt me, I wanted you to know how fucking pissed off about it I was.
Mm,
And I wanted to be heard. And when I'd looked back and reflected on these things, it was like being explosive was never okay, but it was just constantly not being heard and not feeling seen and validated and not feeling safe in myself was never really taught. It's again my responsibility to heal those things, but not ever feeling it. I grew up in a very toughen up soldier, move on. Like you just kind of didn't talk about the way you felt, and you just kind of had to soldier on and carry on with life. And I still, to a degree, I think you still have to. Life goes on no matter what happens.
yeah.
But being explosive and wanting people to hurt in the ways that they'd hurt me and just like being petty, like I just feel like all of those things, it was just who I am now. I'm not a petty person. Like I don't want, if you hurt me, the only thing that I look at in that is that you must be hurting,
Yeah.
because hurt people hurt people. I was a hurt person who I never intended on ever hurting people from my past, but it was like my actions and the way that I felt like everyone was against me. And it doesn't take away from my own experience in that, but in my experience as well, is like the actions that I had, I was very hurtful and destructive and would yell or say harmful things, or just I used to be really manipulative as well. And it's something like I didn't know at the time. I
That
wasn't
you were doing it.
I wasn't trying to manipulate people, but I
Mm,
was manipulating them, and I would say things that would put obviously them in a state of worry or make them feel some type of way. Of course, they're feeling hurt, or I can't speak on their feelings, but it's like now, if for myself, if someone hurts me, I don't want you to hurt as well, because you're hurting and I can see that in your actions. And I
mm,
just pray for you and I hope that you heal. And I hope that whatever's happening to make you act like that towards me, you actually have the strength to face that and to feel it and to make better for yourself. Whereas I used to want to, get my revenge and, sort of make them hurt as well. But now I'm like, I just don't want anyone to feel pain from me. And sometimes it's like, if you're in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, you can
yeah.
only do what you think is right at the time. And then hindsight might show us that you could have done better, or it was a lose-lose situation and you really just had to do what you could. But yeah, definitely being explosive was the biggest one, and it just caused so much chaos and mayhem. And I think it made people around me often fearful because I just wasn't
Mm,
able to express myself and I couldn't have a conversation. Like I've had
you,
difficult conversations now where it's a like this, we're having a conversation, like you
yeah.
made me, I felt XYZ, and they can reciprocate their feelings and we just
Yeah.
talk about it. Like it's so
You weren't
wild.
you weren't emotionally regulated. Like you
Yeah,
could not
exactly.
emotionally regulate yourself.
Yeah,
You
and
were
I had
just in
no
that
idea how to
constant,
do that.
yeah, you were
Yeah,
just in constant fight mode all the time.
exactly. And if I
Yeah.
would see red, I would literally just, it was like I had no stop button in my head, but there was always a
Mm.
voice that was like, stop, like you need to calm down, but I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to do those things. And
Mm.
it was really difficult to sort of unlearn all of those things and to learn how destructive and, for lack of better words, horrible I used to be. You know,
Oh,
like
darling.
it's like, and nothing
Wow.
is ever an excuse, but I think we can acknowledge the things that have happened to us, but also acknowledge the trauma that we've caused other people as well. And
Absolutely.
that's hard to do as well, is to be like, wow, I actually was a piece of shit. So
Oh.
never meant to be, but it was like the reality of it is that I was, and I can't change any of what's happened to me or what I have done, but I can make sure that my path moving forward is better.
Yeah. And you're definitely like a better version of yourself,
Yeah.
learning from that and learning through that as well, continuously learning through that.
Yeah, exactly. It is a constant learning process.
Yeah. So what was your like high school years like? Like did you like school? Did you have hobbies outside of school? Do you have siblings?
I do. I have seven
Okay.
siblings. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so family is big for you. Okay. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So family, it's so hard to explain in summaries, but my parents are separated. They've been
Mhm.
separated since I was a baby. So my mum and my dad had my older brother and I, and they separated. And then my mum is remarried, and she's been married to her husband since I was young. I think I was 5 or 6 when they got married, and I'm 27 now.
Mhm.
And mum has 4 more kids after me. So my mum has 6 kids, and
Wow.
she's only 50 as well. So my parents were quite young when they had us.
Holy
Um,
moly.
yeah, I think mum was 21 when she had my older brother and 23 when she had me. So
Wow.
yeah, it's
Actually,
crazy.
yeah, my mum was 23 or 24 when she had me and my twin sister. Like
Yeah.
that's very common back then. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And I think I've done the math right because mum's 50, so she would have been 23. If I haven't, don't quote me on that, but I think that's when she had me.
Yeah.
And then my dad also got remarried, and he has 2 more after me. So I don't think any of them are my half siblings or anything. They're all my siblings. But yes, I
Um,
have 4 brothers and 3 sisters, and I'm the eldest daughter. So
oh my
yeah.
gosh, special. Eldest
Yes.
daughters. Yeah, feels.
Yes.
Even though I'm a twin, I'm 2 minutes older and I'm definitely older. Like you can
Yeah.
tell. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so good. So you're definitely still close with both your dad's side of the family and your mum's side of the family?
I've had a very rocky road with my family in general my whole life. So I
Yep.
was disconnected from my mum from I would see my mum, I think it was about once every month up
Mhm.
until I was about 12, and then I stopped seeing my mum when I was 12.
Mhm.
And I lived with my dad, so I'd always lived with my dad. And then I actually reconnected with my mum last year. We had our first Mother's Day together
Oh my
last year, which was
gosh.
really nice. Yeah.
Oh.
And it was a beautiful thing meeting my mum woman to woman, because for so many years of my life I didn't have my mum. And that was really difficult as well. It made me feel so many different ways, but the most part of it, just home, I never really knew where home was because I was always
Yeah.
between 2 homes. And then I'd always felt something was missing in my life, and I didn't realize until I had mum back in my
There.
life that it was really my mum. And for the last couple of years before I reconnected with my mum, it was like I've always had my own back kind of thing, and I've solved all my problems on my own.
Very
But
independent.
yeah, so many
Yep.
times I just was like, I just feel like I need my mum. And it was the weirdest thing to me because it was like a long time coming. And even my auntie, because I'm close with even when I was disconnected from my mum, I'm close with her brother
Yep.
and my auntie. So my auntie and uncle and my 2 cousins. And my auntie said to me not too long ago, she was like, I think you needed your mum far longer than you realized.
Yep.
But we reconnected, and I honestly, it was so beautiful to meet my mum woman to woman because she is such a beautiful woman, and my stepdad is so beautiful as well. But I speak to my dad, but that's sort of been a bit of a rocky thing as well. But
Yep.
I speak to all my siblings, so except
Yep.
for my older brother, that's a bit of a trauma
Along.
dump on its own. But
Okay, that's
yeah,
fine. We don't have to
it's
get into
like,
that.
but yeah, I love and adore my siblings, and I still adore my parents. But it's nice, sort of, this is the first time in my life that although dad and I don't talk often, it's nice to just have both of my parents in my life at the same time, and to sort of know like I could talk to my dad tomorrow, or I see my mum all the time. So
Yep.
it's nice. It's kind of been a really long and rocky path, but I had said to myself that the one thing is when I start my own family, I want my kids to know their grandparents, and I don't want to be bringing kids into this world and to still have things that I need to resolve with my own family. So,
Yep.
like my immediate family now, because when I have my own family, that's going to be my immediate family. I want them to know their grandparents, and I just want to bring them into a world of love. So it was my job to, do all these, like get all the pieces of the puzzle together, and still doing that. But yeah, so my siblings are the ones that I'm probably closest with. And even just to have a chat to mum about life and boys and whatever it is,
Just
like,
everything.
it's just so nice. And it's like no time has passed, but it's, all my siblings are older, and my mum, like they've had this whole life without me, and I'm getting to know all of these people that are part of me, but I haven't known for so many years. So it's
Yeah.
that was a massive whirlwind last year, and it was like it didn't spin me out in the way that I felt unhinged last year, but I definitely had a lot of new emotions and feelings that came up last year that was I took my time in navigating, because I was
Mm.
like, this is unfamiliar territory, but the beauty of it, honestly, was that I get to see how I can handle these big emotions and these hard conversations as myself now,
Yeah.
and not as an explosive person. You know what I
I
mean?
was I
So,
was gonna say, so it almost feels like, and it almost seems like this healed version of you was the only version of you that would be able to have this relationship or
yeah,
reconnect in this way because of everything that you've gone through, all the healing that you've done, and everything that you've sort of reflected on in terms of how you were years
yeah,
ago. It's like probably you years ago wouldn't have been able to do this, wouldn't have
yeah,
been able to sort of navigate these really big emotions. And
100%.
it happened exactly how it was supposed to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm such a believer in that. Like, I believe that before any of us are born, there was a purpose and a plan and a path set out for us.
Mm,
And, it's everything really does happen when it's supposed to. And I can sit there and say that I wish I'd had my mum in my life the whole time, but it's part of what has made me who I am. And family's always been so important to me, which is hard when I've had hard moments and had disconnect from my family, and not had them to turn to, and just had my own back against the wall and had to figure things out on my own. And
mm,
it was something that I did talk to my therapist about years ago when I was back in those mental wards. We talked so much about my mum and not having my mum in my life, and the impact that that has had on my view of relationships in general. And
yep.
that was something that was so fascinating to me to learn about, because you don't realize, and it's like one of the things you don't know until you know. It's
Yeah.
not having a relationship and a bond with your mum, that she had said to me that your first 18 months of your life and your bond with your mum are the most important for shaping your values with relationships and love, and that flows on. And that's how we get to here, because you haven't really had that bond with your mum,
Mm.
but I have it now, and that's all I care about. So it's
That
really
is
nice.
amazing. That makes me so happy.
Yeah,
And I definitely think that, like we said, everything that was supposed to happen happened exactly the way it needed to.
yeah,
And this version of you is exactly who you needed to be in order to have that beautiful relationship with your mum.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So, what I also wanted to quickly touch on as well, and like I know we said in the beginning of the episode, like to describe yourself without saying what you do for work, but what do you actually do for work? What is your 9 to 5, Monday to Friday?
So I work in HR and payroll,
Mm-hmm.
and I work for the government. So I keep
Okay.
my work very much off my social media now, because
Yeah.
that was one of the things. So last year, when I'd reconnected with my family, it was almost like there was things that I was like I used to do OnlyFans, and I used to be an online coach, and I just felt like I didn't want these things for myself anymore. And I loved coaching. I did it for years, and I loved helping people, but it was almost like I don't know how to fully explain it, but I just had almost lost my sparkle, and I wanted to be off the grid, and I can't show up and I can't do these things when I'm having to show up on social media, when I really wanted to focus on myself and be off, like I deactivated my Instagram and things for months. So
Wow.
I reevaluated my whole life last year again, and I was like, I don't know what's next. I don't know what I'm going to do. I actually I'd sort of always had a plan. Like even through all my chaos, I knew exactly what I was doing, where I was heading, what I wanted. And last year I was like, I was moving to Bali last year as well, and then I reconnected with my mum. I know, and
Oh my gosh.
I'd fully gotten rid of everything. Like I'd moved to the Gold Coast, and then I went traveling, and I was like, actually, I want to move to Bali because that felt like home to me. And then I
Mm.
reconnected with my mum, and I was like, this feels like home. Like I don't want to move away from my family. I've just got them back in my life again. Like
Yeah.
moving a 6 hour flight in another country, it's just, it doesn't feel right anymore. So
Yeah.
I sort of sat on it for a little bit, and I was like, if I'm not going to do any of these things that I do for work now, what am I going to do? So I went the stable route, and I was like, I don't need to figure it out right now,
Mm-hmm.
because I just felt like I knew it would come to me, and I'm like, I'm still figuring out these things, but it's like I don't know who this version of me is. I don't align with what I'm doing. I just want something new. Completely start again. Let's start from
Completely
scratch.
fresh. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
do something completely new. So
Yeah.
I went the stable route, and I love my job. It's great. And I'm in a really supportive environment, which I'm super lucky about. But yeah, it's my 9 to 5. I sort of fly under the radar, and I'd actually had a meeting with my team leader only a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, "You're a quiet achiever. You sort of come in, you do your job, and you do it well." And to have her recognize me when I don't ever ask for praise. I just do what I can to the best of my ability, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm a massive self doubter. So I'm like, I'm just going to run with this for now, and I just want to progress that route. And I will be starting a little baking business soon as well. That's one side of something that's come to me, and it's almost like, you know, that meme, and it's like, this is a dream that I've had since yesterday. That's kind of
Oh,
how it feels in my baking thing, but that'll be the next chapter for me, which I don't really talk about things that I'm before
going
I've
to
done them, but
do?
I'm
Yeah.
already sort of getting everything together for it.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
so
going to be my new little
exciting.
side hustle. Yeah, and I'm really excited for it, but yeah, I'm a little admin girl, HR and payroll, so
That's so cool.
I work with numbers all day basically.
Oh my God, God, girl, I could never. Me and numbers, Give me words, give me things to write. I'm all over it. But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely
Well, I
not
guess
numbers.
there's so much as well. Like it's not just numbers, it's more policies and things too. There's a whole blanket of things I do in my job, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like no day is the same, but it's structured. So it keeps me on my toes, which I really like, because I sort of get a little bit not complacent, but I just have a brain that goes at a million miles an hour. So
Yeah,
I do find it really difficult to slow and stop. And having a
same.
job that keeps me on my toes is actually the best thing for my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I did not know that. That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think I had followed you back when you were an online coach. Like I think
Yeah.
that's how I found you.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh my God, this girl's amazing. She's so cool." And then yeah, far out. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. And I didn't think I'd ever stop, but I kind of just said to myself, I was like, I'm just not, it was almost like my head wasn't in it anymore.
Mm,
And I was like, I can't show up on social media and just deactivate my account. And I just felt like I couldn't show up as the coach that my clients deserved anymore.
yeah.
So I really needed to just reevaluate that and just cut my ties with it. And it felt like I failed when I had done that, because I was like, I
Have
could
worked
keep
so
going
hard.
and restart again. But
Yeah.
I honestly was like, my head's not in it. And it was almost like I just don't want to do it anymore. Like I love helping people, and I did love it. And I will never say that I won't ever go back to it, because my whole life has taught me, if anything, it's almost like never say never, because you really don't know where your head is going to be or what your path is going to be. But
Yeah.
I think it was the right decision for everyone. My head was really not in it anymore. So
Mhm.
I had to just figure out what was next.
Yeah, and just make that decision and just
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, 100%. And I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't fail, because I've, I'm proud of what I have done, but it was almost like I'm giving up, I'm failing, I have failed. But that was something that I had to navigate as well. And I'm like, it's on to the next thing. It doesn't mean I've failed. And like, even if I have failed, I fucked up so many times, like having a business. You make so many mistakes and they cost
Yep.
you so much money.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's all part of learning, and all of those things have helped me. And even in careers and things, I've done so many different things with work over my years.
What
Um,
what else have you done?
I've done a lot of admin based roles. I did a bit of
Yeah.
sales as well. I used to work in a car dealership, so I was in part of their fleet.
Mm-hmm.
That's where when I started to move into sales, and then that was right before I became a coach. And then before that, I was a manager at Macca's, and
Mm-hmm.
I worked as a receptionist. Like I've done a few different things. I worked in a jeweler, and then I worked at Macca's like as a kid as well.
As a
So
kid, yeah.
yeah,
Oh my goodness.
typical.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
cool. And I
Done
think
a
as
few
well,
different
all those
things.
different types of jobs, those different positions, environments, and things like that definitely would have taught you a lot of things about yourself, about your skills, about your skill set, about, managing and working with different types of people and things like
Yeah,
that. So, you know,
100%.
and although even, with coaching and running a business, it's hard, man. Like it's
Yeah,
hard and it's
yeah,
a lot. And like you said, if you couldn't show up as the coach that you wanted to be for your clients,
yeah,
then you were just doing yourself and your clients such a disservice. And,
100%. Yeah,
making that decision, I can only imagine how hard that was. I
yeah,
could never imagine doing anything else with like, I was a high
yeah.
school teacher before I started online coaching. And now,
Really?
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was a teacher for
Yeah.
5 years. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And I did. I loved my job. I loved
Yeah,
my kids. I loved the people that I worked with. For the last 3 years, I was like a learning and support teacher. So I worked with kids with disabilities and special
yeah,
needs. And I adored my kids. Like
yeah,
I had such a significant role in their life,
yeah.
but it was after COVID and like, sorry, we're going a little bit off track, but just
No.
to summarize in terms of like learning through your different career paths,
Yeah,
it was sort of after COVID and I had to reevaluate and reassess, like, do I want this to be my career for the rest of my life?
yeah,
I know that my purpose is to help people and I love helping people. I love being someone who is depended on by others.
yeah.
But I had to make that leap. And then I, was studying while I was still teaching. And then I just made the jump and I was like, fuck it, let's just go.
I love
And
that.
yeah, I could never
That's so
imagine
cool.
doing anything else for a
Yeah,
job.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. And you've come from one coaching also, almost like a coaching role. You're a role model, you're someone that people turn to for guidance, and then you've gone into a different form of guidance. I love that.
Yeah.
That just makes so much sense. Obviously didn't know this until now, but I can so see you as a teacher.
Yeah, I was an English and drama teacher, so that's what I was
Yeah,
trained in. And that's why I
yeah,
said words, literature,
yeah.
all of that give me like I love it.
I love that.
That's my niche, that's my
That's
thing.
really cool.
Yeah, every time
Yeah.
I tell people that I was a teacher, they're like, "Oh yeah, so you taught PE?" And I was like, "No.
Yeah.
No.
That's so
Definitely
cool.
not."
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, so we know now a little bit more sort of about your work and your career path and sort of how that's taught you in terms of your skill set and things like that. But what I want to sort of delve into now is the other things outside of the workspace. Like, obviously, we don't know too much about that because you don't share that much on social media, but other things in life that bring you joy. Like, I know you have a few other little side hobbies and things that you do. So, how long have you been baking for? Like, have you always been able to bake?
Yeah, I've always been a baker. Like even when I was a kid, I would bake with my nan, my auntie, so my stepdad's sister, my auntie, we used to make lamingtons together. His mum, my
Oh,
grandma, she taught me how to make. She's an amazing cook, but she taught me how to make toffee, and I was always wanting to cook something in the kitchen. So from a young age, I was always wanting to cook. And then growing up, we all had a night where we would cook a dinner, or it would just be a normal thing for us to cook. And
mm-hmm.
I would make muesli bars and things to take to school. Like I actually have baked so much, and I think I've definitely had some failures in baking, like things that
Yep.
didn't turn out the way that I wanted them to. But I've always loved being in the kitchen. But the thing that I've learned, it was almost like, why do I love baking? And I wanted to sort of understand that. And I've always loved, like, I get so much gratification when someone is eating food that I have made, because it's
It's a form
almost
of
like
love.
it is. It's like
Yeah.
love, and I'm glad that it's good to eat the food that I cook, but I would so much rather cook things for people and let you enjoy it. And
Mm.
because I'm celiac, so that was sort of one thing that I'd started baking more, and it was always my happy place. But that was sort of when I went on my whole discovery of like I'd always kind of knew that I baked and I loved baking and just cooking in general, but I'd realized for a while there that I'd kind of stopped, and I can always pick. It was like almost when I was not feeling my best was when I would not cook, and I hadn't baked or really like I would do my meal prep, like I'd obviously cook
Normal.
meals,
Yeah.
but it was almost like I'd only ever cooked to feed myself or to make a
Mm.
dinner or whatever, but I hadn't had so many periods where I hadn't baked, and I was like, this actually it just makes for me when I bake. It's like the whole world just goes silent. My brain is silent. Like I'm just fully I'm actually in my happy place, and I'm just in my element when I'm cooking, especially when I cook for other people. Like I said, I'll cook for myself and I'll eat the food sometimes, but if I'm cooking, I'll cook you brownies, or I'll do cook this for you, and I just want you to have it because that's my way. Like I'm an acts of
It's your
service kind of
love
gal.
language.
Like
Yeah. Yep.
here's something that I did for you because I just want you to have this. And it's like
Mm.
me, I love taking care of people, almost similar to you in that like I love being needed. Like I do love being needed. I like people to be
Mm.
able to depend and rely on me, and that's like one of those things. I want to take care of you. So this is one way that I can sort of do that in a way that's not invasive, and it's
Mm.
like here's this for you. But
Yeah.
that was one thing that I'd sort of felt back into, and I almost had made it for myself. I was like, I want to cook something at least once every week because I know that this is where I feel just so peaceful. And, sometimes I'll kind of just like put on music, or I'll just cook in actual silence. But I made it because I was like, I know that I'm a little bit not, I was kind of feeling with all the different emotions last year. I was like, I just want to make sure that I don't go down a slippery road with my mental health again. So what are the
Yep.
things that do bring me joy? And I just started baking more, and my siblings were all like, oh my god, like you're such a good cook. And then my sister was the one who said to me, like, you should start a business because you're really good at this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd started the thing that kind of made me want to start the business because I was like, oh yeah, haha, that's like,
It's so
whatever. I
funny.
kind of just brushed her off, like didn't like, obviously heard what she said, but I was just sort of like, I don't know if that's what I want to do, like,
Yeah.
but it stayed in the back of my mind. And then I'd started making gluten-free cookies, and I was like, I want to see how these go. And I cooked them, and I had a few different people try them, and they were like, these are gluten-free. And I was like, yeah, they're completely celiac friendly, like safe for me to eat. And that's where my sister was like, you need to start a business. And I was like,
Absolutely.
actually, that's a really good idea because it's hard as a celiac. I only got diagnosed last year, but one of my other little sisters is celiac as well. And she's
Mm-hmm.
been diagnosed since I was in my early teens. So
Yep.
I'm well versed and I knew what celiac was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to find like good yummy treats as a celiac. Like your options are so limited. And I
Yeah.
originally wanted to start it to, have just celiac friendly cookies. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm narrowing myself in. So,
Yeah.
I can share
Just
my
with
piece of love,
everything.
yeah, with everyone. Like that's my way of giving my love. It's like one of those ways is cooking. So that's something I do. That's a very long-winded explanation of one
That's
of my
okay. No,
hobbies.
I love it. I'm here for it.
But outside of that, like I've had a few different, it's almost like I kind of pick up a hobby and then I sort of get obsessed with it for a couple of weeks and then I get a bit bored of it, so that I
Yeah.
find something new. Like I was into Lego for a little bit there, if you would consider that a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a hobby.
Minecraft
Definitely.
was one hobby that I had. I don't know if you call these things hobbies, but
Yeah, no, for sure.
um and then I went like canyoning a couple of times, which was super fun because like I love adrenaline.
That's cool.
That was really fun, like abseiling and
Have you ever
things.
been skydiving? Have you done?
Twice, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I did it for the
I
first
love
time this year
skydiving.
and I was like, oh my God, I'm ready to go again. Throw me out of an
Yeah.
airplane again.
Literally, it is
Yeah.
the best feeling. I say to people, I'm like, you actually don't understand what it feels like unless you're doing it.
Yeah.
I went the first time when I was 16 because my dad got my brother a skydiving ticket and he didn't want to go. And I was like,
Oh,
can I go? Like, I'll
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So I went when I was 16, and then I went again when I was in the thick of my mental health being so bad. I went skydiving.
Wow.
And probably I was honestly the best feeling in the world. Just
Yeah.
you don't think about anything else when you're falling from the
No,
sky.
it's the best. It's the best. Incredible.
Yeah, but
It,
another hobby that I've sort of picked up is Muay Thai. I've been doing Muay Thai now for a few months and I
Yeah.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it's hard being a beginner at something again. And I know that everyone will be a beginner again, but because, the gym was kind of like my hobby and then it became my life.
Yeah.
And I always knew that I just needed to have something outside of the gym. And then I just randomly decided one day that I wanted to do some form of like a self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided on Muay Thai. And then as soon as I went, I was like, I love this. I suck at it, but I love this.
It's hard, but I really love it.
Yeah. And it's definitely something that I want to stick to. It's like I stuck to it for months now
Mm-hmm.
because that's my thing is it's almost like because I get obsessed with these things and then I sort of get like sick of them and I'm like, on to the next thing. I'm a bit bored of this now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to not, you know, give up on things
As
and
quickly. Yeah.
yeah, and to sort
Mm.
of stick it out. Like I know Lego's not really a bad thing to give up on, but just little things. And I love Sudoku. I don't know if you would call that a hobby either, but like
Yeah.
brain things, like anything where I'm challenging myself.
Mm.
I don't know, like it's so hard to answer like what are your hobbies? Like Muay Thai, gym, baking. I think they would be my
That's great. That's a
hobbies, I
good
guess.
list.
I
That's a
don't have
good
any like
list.
knitting or anything ones, but yeah.
Oh my god, my twin sister does knitting. She loves knitting. She's
Yeah.
good.
I've seen a few people doing crochet things recently
Yep.
and I'm like, it just seems really like I would reckon it would be a good form of mindfulness to
Yeah,
like knit.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know what it is. I can't sit for that
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
and do something that's like not stimulating my brain.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if I'm going to sit in one position for an extended period of time, like I need to be doing something that stimulates my brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether that's reading or like editing,
Yeah.
that's things like that. And I could never. I can do puzzles. I love doing a
Yeah.
puzzle. Love a
Puzzles
good
is fun.
puzzle. Or like I've got a few coloring in books as well. Like I
Yeah.
really like doing coloring as sort of like a mindful sort of de-stress
Yeah.
thing as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, reading is definitely my go-to sort of non-work related downtime hobby that I
Yeah.
really like to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't have considered reading a hobby, but that makes so much sense. Like, it didn't pop into my head. I love
Yeah.
reading as well. I've always
Mhm.
been a bookworm.
Yes. Yes,
Love
always.
books.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, ever since the Twilight series, I've been a diehard. Just
Really? I've
yeah.
never read Twilight. Like, I have read
Oh
so
my
many
god.
different kinds of things. One that I did love was the Tomorrow When the War Began series when I was in high school.
Yes, I've had
That
a
was a
few
good
people tell me
series.
that that was their favorite series growing
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I
I've
was
read things
always
like, no, sorry, you go.
No, you go. You go. You
I
finish
was gonna say
that.
I've read things like the Three Musketeers, but like the real version of it.
The Brothers Grimm version? Is
I
that
can't
him?
remember.
I
It was
can't
a long
remember
time
it's
ago that
them.
I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've read so many different things. It's such a good. I'm glad that I actually love reading because, like, it's just you learn more words. Like that sounds so dumb, but
You expand your vocabulary.
you do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
completely agree. I've always been like a fantasy novel type of girl. I think
Yeah.
because I find sort of biographies and like modern, like real life stories, yes, incredible, amazing, inspiring, but I
Yeah.
like getting lost in a
Yeah.
world that's not here, that's not
Yeah.
real. So,
Yeah. Especially if you use it for your mindfulness and downtime thing. You almost don't want to be stimulating your brain when you're trying to unwind.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to read. Like I've read heaps of those. Like my favorite book, I have a tattoo, Relentless. It says on my ankles, Born Relentless. Relentless by Tim Grover is like one of my favorite books, but
Hmm.
that's a kind of book for me, I would read in the morning
Yeah.
or not in the night when I was trying to wind down. I think it's good to have a bit of a balance of those books that you can actually just decompress when you read them,
Yeah.
not like invigorate yourself.
Yeah. Just like ready to tackle the day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the versatility of books. It's like the world is literally endless in the reading world. Is you can pick anything. I
Yeah.
sort of delved in anime for a little bit there, but I couldn't quite get amongst reading anime, but I was
Mm.
like, there's too many pictures for me to look at, and I actually want to like read. So
Yeah.
for
Yep.
me, it was not the reading that I connected with, but I've only picked up one anime book, so I'm like, I don't know if it was just the book that I took, but
Hmm.
yeah,
Interesting.
the
Yeah,
area.
I don't think I've read any anime, to be honest with you. There's maybe one like graphic novel that I've read, but only because
Yeah,
it was related to my favorite band. But
yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, because I've heard people talk about anime and a lot of the shows just have really good values. So I was like, let me read. I
Mm,
was in the bookstore, you would probably know. You sort of go in there and you kind of just wander through the books and you just see what draws you. Well, that's the way I pick books at the moment.
I can spend
Um,
hours just walking in a bookstore.
I know,
Like
me
I can
too.
just get lost in there. I
Yeah,
love the feeling of like a bookstore and just being
yeah,
surrounded by so many stories. Oh my God,
yeah.
it's my favorite
I love that.
so much.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it's the best. That's why I was an English teacher for so long.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, just to sort of wrap up our episode a little bit, because we're getting close to the hour mark, and I can't believe it. I was like, no, I don't want it to end.
Sorry, I feel like once I open my mouth, I could just talk all day.
No, that's so fine. I will gladly yap for as long as possible. Like, if there was an award for longest yapper, it would be me.
I love that.
So in terms of, so we've spoken a lot about things that bring you joy in life, and you've got a pretty long list of things that now have made your life feel so fulfilled and so happy. And what are those little sort of things in life? If you could sort of write a list of things that bring you the most joy, what would that be?
The first one that comes to mind would be when you smile at a kid and they smile back at you. Things like
Aww.
that, or, a random one thing that brings me so much joy, and I do it naturally, but it makes me so happy is just going up to a person if I see I love their hair color or they've got cool shoes on,
Mm-hmm.
telling them that because it could be the smallest little compliment, but you can just immediately see. And, even if they don't always take to the compliment. I don't
Yep.
do it for them to say thank you, but it's like you see there. It almost like takes them back a little bit and they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. And they just are
Yeah.
so appreciative usually of a compliment. And I love bringing, if I see something in someone that I love, because you never know how much that compliment could change that person's day, or they'll remember that because that random person was nice to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's one other thing that sort of brings me joy, and just even something as simple as someone sending me a reel, this made me think of you, or
Yeah.
talking to my sisters and just having like we could literally talk about nothing or just sit there. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I feel like there's just so many little things that bring me joy, or picking up a flower, or literally sitting in the grass. Like there are so
Yep.
many little things in my life that I'm a big little things person, because I am such a believer that little things are so loud. Or something as simple as you know if I was to be like, hey, I was thinking of you today, like I hope you're okay, and they're like, oh my God, I really needed that today. Like, or if
Yeah.
you say I'm proud of you, I really needed that. Those kinds of things is like, they're so loud because they make me feel like I am actually doing, I have purpose, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to have an impact on people that makes them feel good. But it's like, even if I felt like shit that day, if I saw someone's hair that looks good, it would actually fill my cup up
Make
knowing
you
that
feel better. Yeah.
that made them happy. And
Mm.
I don't know, just helping people. If like, I don't know, there's so many things. Now that I'm like trying to think of this, I'm like, what
Yeah.
makes me happy?
My
But
my first sip of coffee in the morning is
yeah,
definitely like that little thing that brings me joy every
yeah,
single morning when I wake up. I love a beautiful sunrise. Like to me,
yes,
sunrise
yeah,
is my favorite time of the day.
yeah,
Like my favorite time of the day. And my partner wakes up really early to drive to work in the mornings,
yeah,
and she drives for about an hour to get to work.
yeah,
And every morning when there's a really beautiful sunrise, she'll
yeah.
send me a photo of the sunrise. Yeah.
Stop it! That's
Yeah.
so beautiful. Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cute.
So that's two of my most special little things that bring me the most joy in my
That's
day to
so
day.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be so beautiful for you as well, having a partner that's like, I know you love these, so here's the photo. Like,
Yeah.
that is so wholesome.
Yeah.
That's so cute. One other thing I will say as
Yeah.
well, this is going to sound so sad because I eat it at the end of my day every day, but I actually wake up every day excited for my bowl of yogurt every night too.
Yes.
I have yogurt every day.
That is not silly because I literally have the same feeling when I get to have my Weet-Bix in the morning with my yogurt. Oh my God, stop it. So happy.
I'm not wishing my day away, but I'm so excited to eat my yogurt tonight. And then when I'm eating my yogurt, I'm like, and I get to do this all again tomorrow.
You're like, I'm so happy. Oh, that's so good. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, I'm so with you on that one. Definitely. Definitely. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, my last little question that I love to wrap up my episodes with is, if you had one piece of advice that you would give to 8-year-old you as you now, what would that piece of advice be?
It would be to use your voice wisely. Find it and just learn the power of your words, because you have such an impact to make or break people with your words, and expressing yourself, expressing your feelings, standing up for what's right will always be something that, it's always something that I've tried to do. But find your voice, use it, and use it well, use it smart.
Yeah.
Because your words have such power, and I just wish that I'd learned the power of my words and learned how to use my voice in a healthy way sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great piece of advice. That's so good. Oh, honey, that makes... Oh. Thank you so much again for joining me today. Honestly,
Thank you for having me.
It's just been such an honor getting to know you and just actually properly having a chat. And yeah, I honestly appreciate it so much.
The honor is right back at you as well. Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed every second.
Oh, me too, honestly. Well, to everyone listening, thank you so much again for joining in. And if you haven't already, please make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of the episodes that we have. And I can continue on with this little passion project that I have, because it brings me so much joy running this podcast. And I thank you all so much for tuning in all the time. And if you'd like to suggest anyone, please make sure that you leave a comment or send me a DM or anything else like that, because I would always appreciate some new guests on the show. Raquel, my love, thank you so much again. I honestly appreciate you. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate you as well. Thank you so, so much for having me.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye guys.